Hi, I'm David. Welcome to my channel, My Yard Sale. Today I wanted to share a little bit about what insulin resistance feels like and looks like so that hopefully other people that have found this post, my channel, maybe will hopefully avoid some of the things that I've had to deal with in insulin resistance and just in general diabetes and prediabetes. One of the things that I noticed definitely about myself and that I feel like is pretty standard is peeing all the time, constant urination. And that means it doesn't matter whether you're drinking beer, you're drinking water, you're drinking soda. It doesn't matter what you're drinking. It's actually what you're drinking and you're eating because the body will take all the sugar that's coming into your body, into your system, convert it to sugars, and then push it through your system and have you pee it all out. So when you become insulin resistant, you're going to pee a lot more. And that's even more than being diabetic or pre-diabetic because literally everything in your body gets converted to urine through your liver and you pee everything out. So you can literally drink a cup of water and pee 4 times depending on what you ate. Even if I eat a cup of blueberries, I'll have to pee like 3 times because my body is so used to converting all the stuff that I eat to sugar and then peeing it all out through my liver. So frequent urination is definitely an indication of insulin resistance. I think frequent urination could also be an indication of diabetes or prediabetes. Diabetes and prediabetes are easier to get the indication because you can get a blood test and they can tell you whether you're pre-diabetic or diabetic. I think there's probably a blood test to tell you whether you're insulin resistant too. I'm not exactly sure how that works. I'm not a doctor, healthcare person. Another thing that I noticed becoming insulin resistant is hair loss. Actually, I didn't even notice it until I started becoming more insulin sensitive and I realized that I had lost so much hair. Obviously, you can see I'm not a full bushy-headed 20-year-old anymore. I've lost plenty of hair on my head. But I did notice that I started losing hair. And then, of course, like I said, once my insulin sensitivity started coming back a little bit, I started growing hair and I realized how much hair that I actually lost. So hair loss is definitely something that I noticed with insulin resistance. Neuropathy of any kind. For me, I never had anything with neuropathy. I even had a touch with some pretty horrible pesticides when I was younger, and I didn't have any problems with neuropathy. But as soon as I started getting insulin resistant after being diabetic and pre-diabetic for so long, I started getting neuropathy. And neuropathy can be just strange sensations in your body, in your skin, in your touch, in your peripheral nerves. So neuropathy is definitely a sign of insulin resistance. Retinopathy, like neuropathy, is the same thing. If I started having problems with my eyes where the more insulin resistant I became, the worse my eyesight got. And it didn't mean that I couldn't see. It just meant that my two eyes didn't work together like they should. Like I had a much harder time focusing on stuff far away. And even when I'm sitting here in front of my computer, looking at my computer, if I'm having an inflammation day with insulin resistance, it can be difficult for me to focus my eyes on my computer sitting in front of me to be able to read what I'm looking at. So retinopathy is definitely a problem with insulin resistance. And I guess that could go back to being diabetic or pre-diabetic, but I'm pretty sure that I was pre-diabetic and diabetic for many, many, many years without having all these physical results that I think the insulin resistance actually manifested. I've noticed a constant hunger for sugar with insulin resistance. When I'm more insulin resistant, I'm hungry for sugar, and I could eat everything I eat could have sugar. So I've definitely noticed that. If you constantly have a hunger for sugar, and that doesn't necessarily mean ice cream or cupcakes and Snickers bars. That means any sugar, like any carbs, even apples. And I constantly am hungry for apples when I'm insulin resistant. Muscle loss is something that I physically saw start happening, and I didn't realize that was insulin resistance at that time. Now I do. But if I would have noticed looking in the mirror how much weight I was losing, and how much muscle loss I was losing, and if I had the thought to go to a doctor and get my A1C tested at that point, it's possible that I would have noticed that I would have known that I was diabetic, pre-diabetic, and I was having insulin resistance, and I may have turned it around at that point. But muscle loss and I guess mass loss, like muscle mass, bone mass, those things are a definite indicator of insulin resistance. The more insulin resistant I got, the more weight I lost, which sounds like a dream come true for some people, but once you hit a certain point, you start looking in the mirror and getting a little terrified at what you're looking at. So weight loss was a definite indicator for me of insulin resistance. This tinnitus or whatever it's called, where your ears ring all the time, that is an insulin resistance problem that I definitely have had and still have. The more insulin resistant I get, the more my ears ring. And I become more insulin resistant now when I eat too many carbs. I was eating beans for quite some time, and I was eating a lot of beans thinking that I was giving myself more protein, which apparently that's not exactly how it works. So I was eating a lot of beans. It was causing major inflammation in my system, and it was causing my ears to ring so bad. And as soon as I started cutting down on all those carbs and stopped eating all those beans, the ringing in my ears didn't go away completely, but it definitely made it more bearable. Insulin resistance causes inflammation to flare up in my body, and who knows exactly how it's going to affect me. Some days like I said, I was eating a lot of beans. And the more beans I ate, the harder it became for me to walk. It was just inflammation flaring up in my body because of the insulin resistance just causing my system to flare up. So again, when you're losing your weight, losing your muscle mass because of insulin resistance, anything that requires muscle mass and muscle becomes extremely difficult. Walking can be difficult. Standing can be difficult. Doing anything physical can be difficult. Again, it's directly related back to diabetes and prediabetes, but more tied back to the insulin resistance that it causes. I'm not really the right person to talk about exactly what insulin resistance is or exactly how it's caused. There's other people that are probably more medically trained to have that conversation, but of course, eating less carbs is the right way to resolve it, to make it better. Anyways, I hope you're not dealing with insulin resistance, and if you are, do me a favor, follow my channel, because in this channel I'm talking about how I'm reversing my diabetes, prediabetes, and my insulin resistance. I'm not diabetic or pre-diabetic anymore. I'm almost positive that I'm not. I don't eat sugar. I don't eat I don't eat rice. I don't eat beans anymore, unfortunately. I don't eat I eat very little carbs. I eat less than 25 grams of carbs a day. And I'm telling my story of how I'm reversing back from being highly insulin resistant, metabolically dysfunction. If this is interesting to you at all, do me a favor, give me a thumbs up and follow my channel, because I'll be telling my story in the upcoming weeks, and hopefully I'll have some good news to share, and then maybe I'll be able to help some other people not deal with the stuff that I've had to deal with. Thank you very much, and I hope you have a great day. Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.